Hello everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. For this episode, I'm going to talk about the family and the roles of the particular family members when playing minor 6 over a single dominant 7th chord. And I am taking, this is following up on Chris Parks's wonderful and very clear episode that he did this week about family over at Things I Learned from Barry Harris. So I'll link to that in the description for this video. And let's get right into it, but maybe I'll cut to the chase to the ending of what I'm going to talk about, which is the ugliest duckling, which is the trickiest one of the minor 6 chords to use or to get our mind around. And I'm going to talk about it in a way I haven't talked about before. That's something new I've been thinking about it. That's fun. So the sound of that is like, say, something that I hear in Barry Harris's recording of Once in a While on Last Time I Saw Paris. I hear this, he goes, and then he goes, and then he goes like, I'll jump up an octave, jumping up an octave, I'll just do that, so it goes like, pivoting, right, but maybe, so I hear that sound when he's playing his slow introduction. And this right here, I can get to it a lot of ways, but one way is the ugliest duckling. And so I'm going to talk about why that sounds so good and what it's doing. But let's go back now and go through all of them first, all of the 4 family members and how they function. They all have a role now that's really clear. We don't have to just say a general thing about it. It's about voice leading, which I often say, because that is true. But I can think of it in a harmonic situation. I'll show you what I mean. First off, let's take the standard one, D7. I'll just go to G major. D7, move the D up to E flat, move it up to E, and that is the 6 on the 5. That is it. That's that, and that would be, so, I would play stuff from D dominant 7th, using Barry Harris's ABCs that Chris talks about all over the place in his channel in wonderful ways. And I've learned so much, so I've actually learned to use them and do things with them, which I'm very happy about. So that's just a pivot and a half step. And that would be using the paired thing. It's all of a piece. If I want to think polyphonically, I think A minor 6 or D dominant 7 diminished or D dominant 7 flat 5. But I'm talking about 6 chords. So I'm going to go A minor 6, which is the same thing as D9. Right? Whoa, not that. Right, so that. That's the sound there. So that's A minor 6. Paired with D7, all of the piece. Now instead of doing that, I'm going to go up to the diminished. I'm going to take the note that is the 5th from D, move it down to A flat 7, which is expressed by, or A flat dominant 7 diminished, but again, I'm going to stick with, when talking about scales chords, the minor 6 chords. So how do I find that minor 6 chord? I take that note that went down, I will go up, I do that, and that is E flat minor 6 moving to G, because I'm thinking of it as the tritone sub of G, of D moving to G. And we call it the tritones minor, because it's the minor 6 for A flat 7, and A flat 7 is the tritone to D. So that's why those both of those are the main ones, because they both have the tritone that diatonically, in diatonic situations, resolves to G. So those are more traditional sounding. Now let's get to the next one, which is also traditional sounding, but is not like a dominant function in the same way. It's what we call the minor 4. So I'll take the 2nd string. I'm going to skip the 3rd string. I did the 5th, the 4th. I'm going to do the 2nd. So D7 goes up to the diminished. Now I'm going to take the 2nd string, and that's F7 and C minor 6. And C minor 6 is just the minor 4. So C minor 6, which is a really pretty sound. So C minor 6 is the 6 on the 5 for F dominant 7th. So this scale. So it's like, say, for example, in How High the Moon, it says, how high the moon. And I skipped the dominant there. Okay, I'm just playing junky there, but now I'm going to play something like Committed. Okay, so it goes, and then maybe, and then, okay, so that's the How High the Moon. And then at the ending there, it says on the chart, C minor 7 goes to F7 to G. And F7, well, I can't do it. Is that right? F7 is the same thing as C minor 6. And C minor 6 is the minor 4. So F7 has that same harmonic sound. So in a way, it's kind of flip-flopping the idea. I'm thinking D7 scale, and I'm thinking it's 6 on the 5. I'm thinking A flat 7, which is the tritone sub of D, and I'm thinking it's 6 on the 5. But then I see F7, I'm actually thinking kind of my core idea is the minor 4, because that's really the sound of it. So it's kind of flip-flopping a little bit. Well, now let's look at the last one, the Ugliest Duckling, because I call these last two the ugly ducklings because they don't have the tritone. So C minor 6 doesn't have this in there. So it has this tritone, which is a pretty resolution of G, but it's not the traditional resolution. Which is pretty. So now, the last of them then, huh? So D7 goes up to E flat diminished. Now I'm going to take the 3rd string, go down to B7, move it up, and it is F sharp minor 6. And what's really striking about this is that it has right in the chord, in the on chord of the scale, a major 7th in relation to D. So you don't want to just use this flippantly if in relation to D7. This is a major 7th, but it's supposed to be this and not this, right? Because it's got to go. So we don't want to like stress that. It has to be a passing tone, which it is. But we've already encountered this type of thing before, and that is in the tritone. So when I played E flat minor 6 and A flat 7, if I play an A flat 7 scale, the scale to be 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, is the major 7th in relation to D, right? But I always view that as a half step to G. My orientation, one of the first ways I really kind of got my mind around that was of a Piazzolla piece for classical guitar that goes, and you get this, and that is that relationship. So in other words, if I play A flat 7 as the tritone, I can play this note, but it needs to be viewed as a passing tone and not as a core function of this. So, and that sounds right. So now that same thing is here, but now it's in an on chord for the first time because C minor 6 does not have that as an on chord tone. Doesn't have it like really at all, maybe. No, it does, but nowhere. No, it doesn't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the way I view this is like this. Here's the trick. I had said before when talking about the Ugliest Duckling, you do smooth voice leading stuff, which explains this. See, that's that note. So that's once in a while. That's the song once in a while. And Barry, when he does this slow introduction, he goes, he goes, and then he goes, and he does like, and that sounds great. You could do other things that have kind of that sound too. because there's a lot of ways to get this note, so I'm not exhausting the possibilities of what we could think to do this. But I want to talk about the Ugliest Duckling, and this contextualizes it. Because let's ask ourselves what this chord is if we're going to G minor 7. This chord that seems not to fit on D7. If we're going to G minor 7, what is that? What are we going to think when we play G minor 7? The answer is B flat major 6. That's what we're going to think. And what's the dominant of B flat major 6? Well, it's F7. And what's the tritones minor for F7? Well, the tritone of F7, if I take this F7, move the F up to F sharp, move this note down to B, it's B7. And if I move that up, now I get F sharp minor 6, which of course the fast way to find it is think F7, think a half step up and play minor 6. And that's the tritones minor for F7. So this goes, right? But this is G minor 7. So let's think about that then. So in other words, a dominant moving to resolve to a G chord of anything, just G something. Well, that could be G major 6, so it could be like, I'll do the tritones minor. Well, that was wrong. Okay, so like that's G. That's just doing drop 2s, doing that kind of thing. That's G major 6. So I could resolve to G major 6, which is G major. I could resolve to G minor 6. So now I got to get into that. So, and then, something like that. And that would be G minor 6. But what if I resolve to G minor 7? As is the case in once in a while, because it goes G minor 7, which then becomes a 2, going to C7, going to F. Well, in that case, works really nicely to just view it as B flat major 6, which it is, and then the dominant of B flat major 6 is F, and its tritones minor is this Ugliest Duckling. So even though the chart does scream at me, it says G major minor 7 to D7, and it goes E flat major 7 to G minor 7 in the third bar. I guess that's where it is. And Barry does this beautiful stuff. And I hear all these notes. I hear like, I go, and then he does like, and then, what would it be? Darn it. Okay, kind of messed up there, but you get the idea. So there's this ambiguity, present in all kinds of situations. But one is that this G minor 7 that really feels like an arrival point is B flat major 6. And so it's a great place to, when the chart says D7, use the Ugliest Duckling to bring out the fact that it is an arrival, but it's going to actually go to C7 to F. That's what it is, And then let's see if I can get it down to the lower registers. I might not hit the sound right. That's pretty. So So that is the Ugliest Duckling seen in a harmonic context, which I've never talked about here before because it's kind of, I don't think I talked about that before. It seems new to me and it seems to be helpful to me. So before I just thought, well, it's voice leadings and you're moving small motions, and that's true. And that's near symmetry, something I've talked about here. But also we can see it when you want to use the Ugliest Duckling. In other words, a way of viewing it is if you have a 5 chord that goes to a minor 7th and you want to play a minor 7th, you could use the Ugliest Duckling there, and it'll be nice. Ugliest Duckling is the if it's D7, it is it's going to be F sharp, so it's a major third up from D7, or like you could think of it in relation to the 6 and 5 A7. Well, it's instead of A minor 6, instead of A minor 6, it's F sharp minor 6. So that relationship is a minor third down. The way I think about it is I think if I were to play this, and this has the 5th in the bass, I'm going to put the 6th in the bass. Or if I were to play this, and this has the root in the bass, I'm going to put the 6th in the bass. So I'm moving around that circle of root 3rd, 5th, 6th, root 3rd, 5th, 6th, which lets my hand just do it, and I don't have to theorize because I train my hand. Anyway, thanks so much. Went a little longer than expected. I'm going to talk about Once in a While again because there's a lot there in this song. It's really beautiful. But I think this is a good place to stop for today, and I'll follow up more. Hope everyone's doing well. Keep practicing.